5 dramatic stories of r/relationship advice. I conducted a paternity test behind my wife's back on our 12-year-old son. I am 34 years old. My wife and I met when I was 20. We had a drunk hookup the first night we met. We continued seeing each other after that night. A few weeks later she found out she was pregnant. We stayed together and I proposed a few months later. I had doubts about her pregnancy lining up with our timeline, but I never brought it up or discussed it. Not to mention I was in the military and deployed a few months later. My proposal weighed a lot on her carrying my child. I grew up in a home without a dad and never wanted that. Fast forward 12 years, we are still married. Though it has been extremely volatile and rocky, I've stayed together honestly because I could never part from my son. I can't let him grow up with an absent father. So I've made it work. Our marriage is dead outside of our child. I ran into an old friend who I knew around the time I met my wife. He asked if I was still with her and I said yes. He mentioned how it was crazy I dated her and then you stole her from me. I wasn't sure what he meant and asked him to elaborate. He said it's no big deal, but I was seeing her up until that weekend you met her. I dropped it, but inside my doubt and insecurities ran wild. I couldn't get it out of head. I broke down and bought a home DNA test kit and used it on my son and I without telling my wife. The results came back today. He is not my son. 0% chance I am his biological father. I'm destroyed. My whole world is upside down. I'm just on autopilot at the moment. I don't know how to act or feel. I'm just a zombie right now. One thing I know is, no matter what, he is my son. I've been by his side the moment he was born and will absolutely never abandon him. Absolutely nothing will change that. What I haven't decided is how, if at all, I bring it up to my wife. I feel like my whole marriage was a lie. I can't help but wonder if she knew. How do I confront her? Regardless that I'm not in love with her, I still love her. This will crush her. This will absolutely devastate her. I don't know what to do. I plan on seeing a therapist ASAP. So many emotions and thoughts flooding my mind. Just need some help to bring me back down. I live a pretty normal life, and I thought so did my girlfriend. We've been together for a few months and after things got serious, we moved in together. We started sharing a lot of the household responsibilities, but the one thing she was adamant on doing was the laundry. She would come home and find me in the bedroom getting the laundry together and would quickly ask me to go do something else. I'd come back to finish the laundry and she would have already started it. I always thought it was sweet and never her job to do it alone, but hey, if it makes her happy to do it all the time, I wouldn't stop her. This is where it takes a turn for the weird. I keep all my socks and underwear in the bottom drawer of my dresser. I also go to the gym frequently, so I always keep a good supply of clean gym socks ready to go. I never kept count, but I know by just a visual glance I several pairs. This morning when I went to grab a fresh pair to pack for the gym, I noticed there were several dress socks, but no gym socks. Again, not weird, they must have been in the laundry. I went to check the laundry basket and it was empty, so I checked the washing machine and dryer. Both were empty. I couldn't figure out where all of my gym socks had gone. So, I did the very natural thing of asking my girlfriend what had happened to them. After all, she is the one who does the laundry all the time. She went silent, turned red and ran out of the room. When I went after her to see if she was okay, she wouldn't talk to me. I told her I wasn't mad, I was just looking for my socks. She kinda mumbled, "I don't know." I still wasn't mad, of course, but I was super confused. Socks just don't disappear. So I asked her again. Even laughed about it and she just looked at me and got mad and said, "I'll buy you new ones." The first thought that went through my head was she had somehow managed to destroy my socks while washing them. I thought the sight of that was actually pretty funny, so I joked with her about ruining my socks. Wrong thing to say. She started immediately crying. Like, full-on sobbing. At this point I don't care about the socks anymore, I want to know what's wrong with my girlfriend. I sat down next to her on the bed and put my arm around her and asked her if she was okay. She just kept saying she was sorry and that she would buy me new socks. I tried assuring her again it was okay. Even went so far as to say I would buy new socks and she didn't have to. I sat with her for a few minutes trying to calm her down and eventually had to get ready for work. I told her I loved her and got my things together to leave for the day. On my way out I grabbed the garbage to take outside. When I got outside I lifted the lid off the garbage can and I noticed a small plastic bag sitting on top of the garbage already in there. I could see through the bag, kind of the semi-see-through ones. There were socks in the bag. Since I was sure she had somehow managed to ruin the socks washing them, I wanted to see for myself. I opened the bag and immediately regretted my choice. There, inside the bag, were several pairs of my gym socks covered in what looked like poop. As soon as the smell hit me, I knew it was poop. We don't own any pets. We don't have any kids. Whose poop was on my socks? Work could wait. I couldn't go the rest of the day wondering why my gym socks were covered in poop and inside a plastic bag in the garbage can. I grabbed the bag and walked back inside. As soon as my girlfriend saw the bag, she flipped out and started yelling at me. She said I shouldn't be going through the garbage and that I was disgusting for bringing it back into the house. I asked her to calm down and that I just wanted an answer as to why there was poop on my socks. I wasn't blaming her of anything, but she started accusing me of blaming her. That's when it clicked. I don't know what it was that led me to ask this, but everything leading up to this moment had just been so crazy. I asked her, "Is this your poop?" She started sobbing again and ran out of the house. I didn't go after her this time. So, now I am sitting on my bed with a bag of poopy socks on the floor and a lot of questions in my head. The only conclusion is that she used them after going to the bathroom. Which that alone has its own set of questions above everything else. I sent her text asking her to come back. She hasn't responded yet. I don't even know what I'm going to say when, if, she gets back. I had to leave for work and am now at work. Yes, I threw away the bag of poopy socks. She texted me back and she's clearly embarrassed, but felt she owed me an explanation. She said she didn't want to talk about it in person and that we could discuss it over texting and to not bring it up in person. I'm condensing the conversation and filling in some gaps as best as I can. Her responses are super short, but I'm getting the idea. I flat out asked her if it was a fetish. It is not a fetish. She confessed to using the socks after going to the bathroom. I found the reason she always does the laundry is because she was hiding the fact that she uses socks to wipe with, primarily her own. I had no reason to question the amount of socks she ever has because who pays attention to that kind of thing? She thought I would notice and think it was weird since she doesn't own many socks. She admitted she has done this for a long time. Her reasoning, as best as I can understand, is that because she is a germaphobe, her word, and she is afraid toilet paper will tear and is afraid of getting her hands messy in any way. She uses socks because it covers her entire hand. After she's done with them, she throws them away. She used mine because she didn't have other socks. So, my girlfriend has a fear of getting poop on her hands, so she wipes with socks, and has done so for a long time. It could be worse, I guess. I hope we can laugh about this later. I'm trying to find the humor in it now, but I'm still weirded out. I am Annalise and 28 years old. My wife is 27. 7 years ago I got married to the girl of my dreams, her fake name. We had been dating for 2 years before that and it was like a dream come true, that changed after our marriage. After our marriage she constantly started feeling down and out of it, and eventually I got her to go to a doctor who sent her to a therapist, and from there we found out she had depression to do with things from her past that she was trying to forget. I decided to be as supportive as I could be. I took care of most of the housework, despite working 40 hours a week, and told her to just get herself in order, and if she needed to talk to me I would be there for her. That was 6.5 years ago. Before she left she was still depressed. She basically only lays in bed and complains. She does nothing. We had no intimacy, no socks, no cuddles, no going out. My entire day was filled with work and housework. Day in and day out I worked my butt off, came home to a mess of a house and started cleaning up, starting dinner and so forth. At the end of the day I was exhausted and all I could expect was for her to unload more of her trouble on me and complain about herself, me and everything around her. I could not even hang out with my buddies to get away from it all, as she would relentlessly call me saying she was scared and everything, so I also had no social life. Not that I had time for it anyway. But despite it all I pushed through, hoping that sooner or later she would break out of it and we could have a proper life together, as I loved her and, as they say, for better and worse, and this was quite clearly worse, possibly the worst it would ever be. 4 months ago she got a new therapist, and 3 months ago that therapist suggested she needed time away from me as her depression started when we married, so I may be the cause of it. The moment she told me I was crushed, I started doubting myself, blaming myself, worrying. But beneath it all, this creeping sense of having done everything for her, having sacrificed years of my life as a cash cow and a servant for her to lay in bed, and this is my thanks? It is my fault now? But I rejected that feeling, trying to talk through it, but she decided to leave and stay with her mother, saying she needed time away from me and that I may be the cause of her depression and so forth. Honestly, the entire argument is a blur in my head. I spent the next month when she moved out calling her, her family, begging and humiliating myself just to get her back, apologizing for everything I may have done wrong. Honestly, I was close to ending it all as I was so hopeless at that point. But that month passed, and as it passed I couldn't help but feel relieved. I came home and it was quiet. I could indulge in my hobbies, which I had not done in years, The place was not a mess every time I came home. I could relax in 2 months, and I even realized I could hang out with my buddies again, grabbing a beer, enjoying life, and slowly I started to realize that I had been miserable this entire time. Slowly that turned into more and more realizations before I realized I honestly did not love her anymore. I felt like my youth was wasting away. I could do much better than this. I felt like I was a caretaker of a handicapped old lady. Hell, I still looked good, and as I went out I started once again gaining back my self-confidence. Women would flirt with me. I felt wanted, even though I never did flirt back. After all these realizations, I suddenly got a call from my wife, saying she made a huge mistake. She was sobbing her eyes out and how she was an idiot, taking the therapist's words as fact and how much she loved me. For a moment I wanted to say yes, please come back. But I couldn't. I just blurted it out and said to her she had left me and I was done with this relationship. I told her I would get divorce papers, and I told her I had wasted enough time as it was, and this final action of hers was the nail in the coffin. After that I just dropped the phone, started crying for a bit before turning in and feeling liberated. The issue now is that everyone in my family is telling me I am making a mistake. I should take her back. I owe it to her to try and make it work. Marriage is not always fun, etc. The thing is, I never had fun in this marriage. I can't remember the last time I had fun and wasn't miserable. We are both young and fit and we never even go out. Hell, the last time we had sex is over a year ago. All I am to her is a servant as it seems, and I rather live alone than spend one more hour taking care of her. But on the other end, I doubt myself. Am I really dumping someone that is depressed? I feel horrible about it. I feel like a failure.